More and more Americans ditching their home insurance due to rising costs for coverage, according to a recent study. Joining us on 710 KURV, he fights for the rights of property owners. He's a CEO of National Claims Negotiators. We welcome back to the program Ron Snofer, joining us on 710 KURV. So what's the deal with insurance these days? Rates are going up, and we're not necessarily getting more services to go with that, right?
We're actually getting less coverage. Deductibles have gone up, and a lot of these policies have what's called ACV endorsements and/or roof surface endorsements on them, which means you get less coverage based on the year and age of your roof and/or property.
What's driving these costs, and why is it that insurance companies are cutting back on service?
Inflation has a lot to do with it. You look at the fact that the cost to construct a house today versus 5 years ago has skyrocketed. Cost for materials, cost to transport that material, cost for labor, all have increased drastically in the last 5 years. And because of that, you have a more expensive house, which means it costs more to insure an expensive house because it costs more to rebuild that house if something happens to it.
Oh, man. And we're talking about materials too and everything, and that hasn't been all that great since the Rona, that's for sure.
That's correct. I mean, we've all seen it. Prices have just gone up, and there's nothing anybody has done to stop inflation from going up at this point in time.
Joining us on 710 KURV from National Claims Negotiators is Ron Snofer. And we're talking about, are there any alternatives, right? Do people have an option? Do people have a choice here? Is it actually cheaper now to just take care of things on your own rather than dealing with an insurance company?
Funny that you asked. I was just thinking about this earlier. The average cost across the country is about $4,000 a year to insure a property. And if you save that money for 10 years, that's $40,000. But the average CAT claim or catastrophic claim is between $200,000 and $300,000. So if you save $40,000 over 10 years, but it costs you $200,000 to rebuild after a fire or a hurricane or a tornado, you're not coming out better.
You know what? I was thinking about that the other day. If I'm paying an insurance company this much money, right? I don't get that money back if nothing happens, and I don't think many insurance companies have a program that allows that, right?
Oh no, you're paying for that insurance in case something happens, and that's the risk that the carrier is taking on whether or not something they believe will happen, because they have actuaries out there that make a determination every year on how much they believe they're going to spend every year on an area of the country, and that's how premiums are determined.
What makes insurance worth it in 2024? Right, I'm sure there's scenarios where it's worth dealing with, right?
You look at what just happened a couple months ago down in Bell County, where they had tornadoes left and right down there, destroyed a whole bunch of houses, a whole bunch of properties, and so forth. Those people are going to get to rebuild because they had insurance. If they didn't have insurance, they'd be stuck. I mean, having to get a loan from their bank or mortgage company to rebuild a house that they've lived in for 10, 20, 30 years. And now they're having to lose all that equity that they had to rebuild when they should have had insurance.
What would be, for people that are new to buying insurance as they're shopping around and looking for things, what advice would you give to somebody to find the right amount of coverage for them?
So it's always best to deal with a broker who has multiple lines of carriers, that they can go to the carriers and get multiple bids from several different insurance companies to determine who has the best coverage, who has the best rates, and make sure that you're paying the most competitive amount for the best type of insurance that you can get. I mean, you can always pay for less coverage by increasing your deductible or not having exclusions on your property and making sure everything's covered, or you can make sure that everything is covered and have the Cadillac of all insurance. But you got to be able to make that decision on your own.
Joining us on 710 KURV, Ron Snofer with National Claims Negotiators. Tell us more about what y'all do at National Claims Negotiators.
We're a public adjusting firm, and we help property owners who are in a dispute with their insurance company. They believe they need a second opinion, an advocate on their behalf to make sure that they get their claim paid properly after storm damage.
What are the most common disputes that you all handle?
Here in Texas, it's going to be either a tornado or hail claims.
And what is the root of the dispute on that?
Say that again.
I guess what is the main reason for the dispute in cases like those?
Insurance companies disputing whether or not they have damage associated with a storm, or the amount of damage that they have, whether or not they have enough coverage for it.
How do you protect yourself against that? Because it seems like, as a homeowner, it's pretty straightforward. Like, hey, we got damage. You're supposed to take before and after photos, right? And that helps a lot, but that doesn't work every single time, does it?
It doesn't. Property owners should always take before pictures, but we never think about it until after a storm event or something happens to the property. That's one of the easiest thing a homeowner can do is take those pictures beforehand.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ron, for joining us today. Appreciate your time. That's Ron Snofer with National Claims Negotiators joining us on News Talk 710 KURV.